Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Well, baby, if your name is Diddy and Donald Trump, it looks like your days may be numbered. We're going to go inside that Wall Street Journal article. I'm going to read that. We're also going to talk about what's going on between Donald Trump and Rupert Murdoch. But how does this all relate to Diddy? The Maureen Comey statement. She actually released a statement and said that Donald Trump was trying to make into, well, not Trump, but the government is trying to institute fear into the Department of Justice, mainly the Southern District of New York. Now, if you guys don't remember, Damian Williams was going after Diddy. They were flying out to Belize. They were flying out to London. They were going to take Diddy down for international crimes. Unfortunately, he hired Mark Agnifilio. Yana. Mark Agnifilio went on a tear, a spree to race to court to short circuit that. Around that time, Trump put in his person with the Department of Justice. Now, remember this as we get into this article and all the information I'm going to give you. True, the Supreme Court basically said that Trump can do whatever he wants and nobody can say anything about it. However, I think a lot of us got selective memory in how much, forget about all the lawsuits Trump had against him that he was excused from. Let's not forget all the people around Trump that were being sued for doing really, really crazy things. I'm not talking about Epstein. I'm talking about currently in 2000, from 2020 to 2025, the Justice Department was going after not just Trump, but the people that were doing business with him. Okay. So even though Trump is excused from that, from the Supreme Court ruling, they're not. Okay. So that's going on. Southern District of New York had a lot. Anyway, I'm about to get into the article, but I just want you guys to have this back information because it's going to make a lot of stuff make sense. So the Justice Department, specifically the Southern District of New York, was going after everybody. And New York State was going after everybody that was left. Maureen Comey, I don't care what the tweet said. I was in the courtroom. And when I say in the courtroom, when Maureen Comey walked by in her navy suit and her black tights, I felt the wind go by me. When I say I was in the courtroom, Maureen Comey was windmilling for her life. And that's why it was even more shocking when the jury verdict came out. However, there were rumors. There were rumors that Comey was not done. She was like a dog with a bone, and there were going to be more charges filed against Diddy. The firearm, maybe not RICO, but the firearm charges, okay? The, what else is it? There was a bunch of other charges that would have been filed federal and state. They said Maureen Comey was pissed. This was personal, and she was not going to let it go. Again, just because he didn't get convicted of RICO, are we acting like a man that literally blew, allegedly, according to Kid Cudi and Cassie, blew up somebody's car because your girl left them for him? And we're acting like that person's normal and everybody knows that man got bodies all over the street? Anyway, Maureen Comey was supposed to be pushing to get more charges quickly brought up against Diddy because apparently this investigation with Diddy, it has been ongoing. I know they were looking on him for the RICO, but let's not forget they had a whole binder, a dossier, if you will, of stuff that Diddy's done. All right. Now they're saying that Maureen Comey was like, press go. Okay, mofo, you got away with RICO when it comes to sex trafficking, but press go against that other stuff because we can continue investigating and we can bring up other charges. It took how many times to bring Giselle Maxwell down? How many times to bring R. Kelly? How many times to bring Harvey Weinstein? How many times to bring down Jeffrey Epstein? She said, push the start, let's go. She was also the sole and loudest because she runs that whole sex trafficking division, loudest yelling to Judge Summering that Diddy should not be released on jail and he should get the maximum time allotted for his crimes, even under the Mann Act. And the word on the street is Maureen Comey felt like once he was in jail, okay, under the Mann Act, she thought that a lot of potential witnesses and people would feel more comfortable coming forward and testifying to Diddy's other crimes. Because even though the woman beaters of America and the flunky, broke, dusty women that support them were out there celebrating in the streets that their king dirtbag beat the RICO, baby, we are not going to act like Diddy is not a two-time convicted felon and that Every time you talk to people that actually knew him, not the people that was literally trying to beg to get into the Bad Boy reunion tour, not the people that were just would sell their left arm or their firstborn, literally, and Diddy might take them to get into a white party. But the people that actually worked around this mofo and knew this mofo was like, he is a dangerous person. Everybody saying they're afraid of him is not hyperbole. They are being dead serious. Now, Maureen Comey was like, put him in jail for as long as possible under the Mann Act. And while the Mann Act is going on, let's go in there, okay? Let's go in there and keep investigating. Mark Agnifilo, you rushed the trial, so we can't get this under RICO. But baby, we can get it under all the other stuff. Because at the end of the day, Mark Agnifilo and his misogynist stand-up routine and his poorly run PR that they're now trying to backtrack because they attach themselves to the dredges of society, right? To the dredges of society, at the end of the day, you never explain what that good law-abiding church boy was doing in a security booth with assault rifles, with sawed-off serial numbers. As far as I know, baby, the security company you hire, the professional security company you hire, there's no reason for them to have guns with serial numbers filed off, okay? But anyway, Maureen called me, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, just saying Maxwell might be pardoned. We'll wait to see what happens with that. Or at the very least, maybe her sentence will be commuted, because if Jeffrey Epstein was just a troubled businessman who didn't do anything, then why is just saying Maxwell in jail? Maureen Comey was over that. She was over the case. She was also over the Epstein case. She was bringing that mofo down. Ask yourself why the woman that bought down El Chapo, Jeffrey Epstein, just saying Maxwell, I don't know if she bought down Harvey Weinstein. Why the hell would they have to sit there and have a Call of Duty arms to bring down Diddy if there wasn't anything with it? Again, I think the jury actually shocked them. Ooh, Maureen Comey's face when she walked out after 2 out of the 3 charges. Anyway, she was the one saying, park Diddy in jail, and then we are going to complete our investigation. And Mark, you can't do anything. And more witnesses will come forward if he is in jail, because his reach will be. Now, all of a sudden, she gets fired out of the blue. She was fired by the president for no reason. There is a connection between Diddy and Trump. They've done their best. They have done their best to scrub the internet of pictures. The most notable one is he's been at a lot of the parties, but the 1998 white party, it was in some old archive. That's a picture right there. And Diddy and Trump were singing each other's praises. They've done their best to scrub the internet so there isn't a relation, but there's something there. So all of a sudden, Diddy and his servers that were taken out of the house, right, from the FBI, there were literally party planners that said Diddy had big orgies, okay? I know they tried to make it seem like the freak-offs were just Diddy, his whatever girl he was beating on that year, and a male escort. But they have gone in the New York Times, New York Post, and a bunch of publications saying that Diddy actually paid $500,000 on up just for party planners to decorate elaborate Roman orgies, elaborate Smex parties. I call them Roman orgies. They call them Smex parties. We saw the pictures from Meek Mill's birthday where they rented out Count Chocola's castle, changed the lock so they locked from the inside and outside, and the only person that had the key was Diddy. And on top of that, what is the worst part? He changed the fire alarms, smoke detectors out of each room for his own. I think they were secret hidden cameras, because when Meek Mills tried to walk away from knowing Diddy, they released stills of that party. Why is that important? Because the guy that rented out Count Chocula's castle, it literally did look like Count Chocula's castle. The guy that rented out Chocola's castle literally said that they trashed the place. It was disgusting. They needed hazmats to get in. There was blood all over the sheets. There were used condoms, bloody. It was just, ugh. He charged them so much because he said it looked like a disaster scene. Again, giant orgy. Let's also not forget Wild King Nights. That again, it wasn't just those 2 people. Now, we can argue what happened to all the tapes in the server, but we can also argue that it seemed like Diddy might have thought he could do Jeffrey Epstein plus. Now, Stay with me. We're about to get into the article. Maureen Comey was screaming for all that. Maureen Comey out of the blue. First of all, I don't care what anybody says. I thought it was very odd that Trump even planted somebody from Fox News to stand up and ask about would he pardon Diddy. And he was like, well, if he's treated unfairly, I would. And a lot of MAGA, y'all was in my comments being like, oh, please, Trump would never. He's against pedophiles. He's making a special task force to take down pedophiles. And I said, I mean, okay, if he just put PDF files in, okay, I mean, I guess go for it. Die, comrade. Like, let's do this because, baby, I don't care who it is. If Satan himself is putting PDF files in jail. I mean, let me shut up before God be like, what'd you say? Who's doing it? We all know that Satan will never put a PDF file in jail. He's the one that creates them, right? But the whole point of the matter is, I was like, are you sure? Because it sounds like, and Trump, and I don't know. But now that we see the Jeffrey Epstein stuff and the way Trump is like saying, oh, I don't know. Now he's saying that he's going to release some of the grand jury testimony, some of it to the public, but it's never going to be enough. It is never going to be enough because we didn't ask for the grand jury testimony. We asked for the list. We asked for the client list. We asked for the list. Can we have the list that you guys said you had? I don't need to read the testimony. I'll read the transcripts later. You can just give us a list, okay? So, with that, interestingly enough, also, so you know how Donald Trump tweeted, and you guys can go confirm this on your own. You know how Donald Trump tweeted, you know, this is great. Coca-Cola is now going to be made with whole sugar, right? And I thought it was some, you know, like, what's the guy that got the worm in his head? Kennedy, right? Can you believe the girl from Cheryl from Curb Your Enthusiasm is his wife? I know. I wonder how Larry David feels about that. So anyway, right? The whole point of the matter is they're like, yo, Coke is now going to be made from sugar. Okay, great. Coke's going to be made from sugar. I guess that's better than all the stuff. Really weird why MAGA is calling for your head for the Epstein thing that you talk about making Coke all natural, right? Okay. Shout out to Coca-Cola. But the person that's going to supply Coca-Cola is a sugar tycoon. He's the sugar billionaire. Now, why did he have a little in his profits for like the last 4 years? Why it was under the Biden administration? Because his sugar plantations on, I forget whatever island or wherever they were, we refused to take any of his sugar into America. Why? Because on the plantations, they found him guilty of having forced labor on his plantations. Forced labor on his plantation. So basically, he had a modern day slave plantation, and the human right violations were so bad that any of his imports of sugar into America were 100% blocked. Now, Trump lifted those sanctions on the sugar baron, right? I think his name was Pedro. I forget what his name was. Lifted the sanctions on the sugar baron. Apparently, the sugar baron is now going to be the supplier of pure cane sugar to Coca-Cola. So what does that have to do with anything? Well, it all seems to go back to a list because the sugar baron was also a good friend of Jeffrey Epstein. And if you look at the flight log that they released to and from Epstein Island, he was there a bunch of times, almost as much as Bill Clinton and almost as much as Donald Trump. I find it odd that somebody that had sanctions put on him and they refused to import because of having modern day slavery on your plantation, you're lifting it, you're doing it. But this guy is also, and he just tweeted that in the middle of the just saying Maxwell. It's almost like everybody that was involved in Epstein is now colluding and see if they can create a power base. Now, let's get into this Wall Street Journal article. Again, just something to think about. You guys can Google this yourself. I'm not putting up a whole PowerPoint. Use Google. I don't know if my Google is more free than yours, but you can definitely, hey, Honeybee, thank you so much for the super chat. Shout out to Honeybee Therapy, right? But my whole point of the matter is, Yeah. So now that Maureen Comey, just tilt this, now that Maureen Comey, okay, now that Maureen Comey has been fired unexpectedly when she was pushing for more charges to come up against Diddy. On top of that, Maureen Comey, if anything was going on with the Epstein list, because she is the lead prosecutor, well, I don't know. She could have leaked something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I just find it to be like such a coincidence and really suspicious timing. You guys, I've never been somebody to truly believe in deep state. I think that, like, oh, but because they do enough BS on the regular day, we don't need to actually wonder is like, on a regular day, we don't have to go into conspiracy rabbit holes because they play in our face. But I do believe in 2025, we are literally in real life time seeing a deep state cover up in real life. Now, you can argue whether you think that Trump is behind it, but we can argue but I think we all agree the list existed. And it reminds me of the way they played semantics with Kim Porter's book. She didn't have a book. Her best friend, the one that's still defending Diddy, she didn't have a book. Well, what did she have? Was it a note? Was it manuscripts? Was it text messages? Was it notes in her phone? What did she have anything documented saying Diddy is an SOB? She did? Okay. But they kept saying there was no book, there was no book, there was no book. Okay, it's fine. It was a manuscript. It was a draft. It was a notes app on your phone. But it was something maybe it's the same way to me they're playing around with the list. You know what we're saying with the list. We want to know who were the frequent visitors to Epstein Island. Who did Epstein spin up? Who was Epstein's social network? Basically, we want to see his iPhone backup and we want to see who was in his contacts list. That's what we want to see. And now they're playing around saying there was no list, there was no this, there was no that. Okay, but what was it? Like, give us the unredacted flight log. Why did they redact the flight log? They still didn't figure that out. And that happened in the Biden administration. I do want to say this. I don't want to turn this chat into anything political. I do say that Democrats and Republicans, there's SOBs on both sides, and there are people on both sides that are stopping this from coming out. I don't want to see one more tweet. I don't want to see one more grand jury. I'm releasing some of the grand jury testimony. What? The part that says Trump had nothing to do with it, the government had nothing to do. I don't want to see anything except for drop the contact list, drop the unredacted flight logs, drop something. You